Welcome to this class. This is going to be a full body wake up class. So we're going to be aiming to wake up the whole body, but also wake up the brain a little bit with some balancing poses. We're going to get straight into it. You don't need any props for this class, although of course it is always worthwhile having blocks to hand if you've got them, just to make things a little bit more accessible. And you may want a blanket to pad your knees. Okay, so we'll start in child's pose. I'm assuming that you're doing this either because you've been sitting and you're feeling a little bit sluggish and you need to wake up the body, or maybe you're doing it first thing in the morning. So let's start with a little check-in. Coming down into child's pose, you could have your arms extended, or if you prefer, you could make a little pillow for your hands with your forehead. And just take a few deep breaths as your hips settle towards your heels. And just notice how your body is feeling. Are there points of tension or discomfort or pinching that you need to be aware of through this practice? How is your energy? How is your mood as you come to this class? Do you need to practice some self-compassion? Do you need to practice a more gentle tone of self-talk? And what about the river of your mind? Are your thoughts busy and rushing? Are they flowing smoothly? Are they feeling a little bit stuck? If you had your hands as a pillow, let's just all walk our hands out and everyone just walk fingertips a little bit further. Just maybe coming up onto fingertips for a moment and stretching all the way from fingers to hips. Just feeling a nice stretch through the back body. And then planting the hands down, let's come up to all fours. Spreading the fingertips nice and wide, knees under hips, hands under shoulders. We'll just come into cat-cow, dropping the belly, lifting the head, lifting the tailbone, looking up. Exhale, pressing the spine away, tucking the tailbone under, dropping chin to chest. Moving with your own breath here. And feeling into where are the sticky spots in your spine today. Very easy to do a lot of movement from the low back, but what about between your shoulder blades? What about towards the back of your neck or in your mid-back? Can you really focus this movement on the parts of the spine that actually feel a little bit stiff, and maybe you might even want to come into something a little bit more organic to feel a little bit more into those parts of the spine. Remembering it's not what it looks like, it's how it feels for your body, and the body is different every day. So I'm just rocking a little bit backwards and forwards here, just feeling into my shoulders and upper back and hips. And I'm just going to come back onto my heels, and then I'm going to walk my hands forward and come forward a little bit to just like a little modified up dog. Pressing back, curving the spine back to my hips. Let's just take that a few times. It's almost like little Shakti waves for the spine here on the mat. And maybe coming forward through up dog and back. And let's transition to down dog. Maybe widening the hands towards the edges of the mat a little bit, tucking the toes and lifting the hips up towards the ceiling, pressing back, lifting the hips up,
Bending the knees, probably quite generously at this point in the morning, maybe deeply bending one knee, straightening the other leg, and then repeating that on the other side. So just walking out your down dog a little bit. Then coming to stillness, let's just lift the right foot up towards the ceiling and take some big circles, some big hip circles with that right knee. Then go in the other direction. If it feels too much to do this in down dog, absolutely drop to hands and knees and do this in all fours. Let's repeat that on the other side. Bend the knees generously, stretch again, pressing the hands into the mat, looking back between your heels, and then let's bring the knees back down onto the mat. Tuck the toes, just walk the hands back just for a moment into a little toe squat. And let's just bring the arms in front of us, wrapping the right arm under the left, clasping the hands in little eagle arms. Let's inhale, lifting up a little bit towards the ceiling. And exhale, dropping chin to chest. Once more. Inhale. Exhale. Broadening the arms up. Maybe you want to come off the toes for a minute, tap them out. And then let's tuck the toes, walk the hands back again. You might need to tuck the little toes out the way. Coming to the other side, left arm under right. Inhale, lift up towards the ceiling. Exhale, dropping chin to chest. Lifting up. And coming in. Spreading the wings wide, coming off the toes. Let's tap them out. Let's just take a little wrist stretch. So turning the hands to feet to the side of the mat or even pointing behind you, whichever you prefer. And just holding here for a moment. And then we're going to just gently shift our weight back, slowly peeling the wrists and the fingers off the mat. Give them a little shake. And then bringing the hands down, the backs of the hands down, pausing for a moment. And then gently bring the weight back so you can peel the hands up slowly. Give them a little bit of a shake. Okay, going to all fours. Let's step the right foot through into low lunge. Here's where you might want to pad your knee if that feels more comfortable. And we're just going to start by shifting the weight back into half splits, lifting the toes up towards the ceiling. Exhale, coming forward into a low lunge. And just explore this movement. If you wanted here, you could be up on blocks to make this more accessible. You could even bring hands up to the hips and actually just do this in a more upright position if this feels a little bit more comfortable for you and it's giving you a bit more space. Coming into low lunge, we're going to pivot the left foot into a little kickstand. And you might want to walk that right foot forward so it's more in line with that knee. And you're going to bring the right hand to the inside of that knee, left hand to the hip, just coming down into this low lunge on the right hand side. So I'm just slightly opening up that knee with the right hand, not too much, and letting my weight shift a little bit. Let's bring the left arm up to the ceiling, fingertips drawing tall. Exhale, coming into a side bend. You could shift the arm to rest on your knee here, maybe looking up towards the ceiling if that's comfortable. Feeling a nice long stretch to the left side of the body. Use the obliques to come up straight again, drawing up tall through that left arm, bring it down to the mat. Pivot that right foot so it's flat on the mat. Right arm comes up towards the ceiling and then over into a long side bend, stretching all the way from the right foot to the tips of the right fingers. And let's take a few big circles with the shoulder here. Going one way, going the other way. And then bringing that right hand to the hip, use your obliques to draw yourself back up. Pivot back round so that you're in your half splits, coming into low lunge. Bring the hands down, bring that right knee back. And just for a moment, let's just take a puppy stretch, walking the hands towards the top of the mat, dropping your forehead down, keeping the elbows active off the mat if that's comfortable. If not, just drop them down. Taking 3 big breaths through the upper back and shoulders here. And then slowly walk the hands back in. Take one round of cat-cow. See how your spine is feeling. Let's repeat that on the other side. Stepping through with the left foot, finding your low lunge, and starting to shift back into half splits. Forward into low lunge. Remembering that you can always come up. Do just a little bit more space. Coming into that low lunge, let's now pivot that right foot back to find a kickstand. Left foot walks forward till it's in line with that knee. Bringing the left hand just to the inside of that knee. Slight low lunge here on the left, little side low lunge. Not going too far, just a nice stretch, keeping the spine nice and straight. Let's bring the right arm up towards the ceiling. Imagining someone's tugging up on your fingertips there. Maybe adjust this left arm, coming over into a little side bend. Looking up towards the ceiling perhaps, or just straight forward. Keeping the breath nice and long. Coming back up. Reaching up with that arm and then using that length to bring the hand down. Pivot that back foot flat. Left arm comes up and over. Side bend. Modified side plank here. Nice long stretch all the way from the tips of the fingers to that back foot. And maybe take a few big circles here. One way. And then the other. One more stretch, and then bring that arm, that hand down to the hip. Use your obliques to come up. Pivot, find your low lunge. Plant the hands. This time let's come into down facing dog. So stepping back, stretching everything out. Noticing if it feels like you have a little bit more space in your down dog this time. Let's take 3 breaths here, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Going to gently walk our feet forward, nice and slow, taking your time. Coming up to the top of the mat. Just hang for a moment in your ragdoll fold. You could hold up as elbows and sway if you like. Feel into how the legs are feeling. And then releasing the hands, bending the knees, pressing the heels down, rolling up really slowly. tucking under the pelvis, slowly aligning the vertebrae. Shoulders come back. Head is the last thing to come up. Let's bring the arms above the head. Interlace the hands, release the index fingers. Take a side bend one way. Coming up. Side bend the other. Stretch up tall. Now bring the arms into cactus, squeezing the shoulder blades behind you. Exhale, lifting the arms back up to the ceiling. Twice more. Shoulder blades are squeezing. And then shoulder blades spreading wide once more. And bringing the arms wide. Forward fold. Dropping the head. Halfway lift. Exhale. Forward fold. Root to rise, pressing the heels down, rolling up nice and slowly, taking your time, feeling into the spine. Coming to stillness with one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, just a little check-in. Let the blood settle, let the heart rate settle. We're going to take a couple of little drills now for balance before we do a quick balancing flow to finish off. So I just invite you to bring the fingertips in front of you so that you can look towards your fingertips. Keeping the left finger, sorry, these are my index fingers, I should have said. So keeping the left index finger in front of you, start to bring your right index finger out to the side just until it vanishes from your peripheral vision. Then bring it back in so it's just in the edge of your peripheral vision. And maybe woggle it up and down a little bit so that you can see it in the corner of your eye while still looking towards that left index finger. Bring the right index finger back into center. Holding the right index finger there, let's bring the left index finger out till it's just out of your vision. Then bring it back till you've got it in your peripheral vision. And just woggle it up and down a little bit. Bringing that index finger back together, take a couple of blinks. And now bring both index fingers out to the side, keeping your head facing forward, just until they're right in the edges of your peripheral vision. Expand your vision to be able to see those fingers. You can woggle them a little bit. Bring your fingertips back together. And let go. Take a few little shoulder rolls. Just opening up the peripheral vision there. You're going to interlace the hands, bring them behind the back of the head, just lightly cradling the base of the spine, maybe tilting the head up ever so slightly. Now you're going to start to bring left ear towards left shoulder, still looking forward, holding the head there, and let the eyes drift to the right. And we're just going to stay gently looking up towards that right corner until you have a sign of your nervous system reacting to this. So it might be more saliva in your mouth, a need to swallow, a need to yawn, like that. Bit of a gurgle in your tummy. And once you've had a little bit of a reaction, gently bring your head back up to level, looking forward, and blink a few times. Start to drop your right ear towards your right shoulder, left eyes, drifting up towards the left corner there. Same thing again, we're just gently holding that gaze without straining your eyes. Just until you get a slight indication of the nervous system responding. This is a vagal nerve activation exercise. We're just encouraging the body to feel safe, to be relaxed in our ventral vagal branch, so calm and connected to our environment. And once you have a little bit of an indication of shifting into rest and digest, gently bringing head back to center, release the arms, shake everything out. Just see if your body feels maybe a little bit looser after doing those exercises as well. All right, let's take a little bit of a balancing flow just to give the brain something fun to work with to wake it up. So Coming to the top of the mat again, we're going to come into eagle pose. So we'll start with shifting our weight onto our left leg, gently crossing the right leg over the top. Now you could loop your toes back. You could have your toes actually on the floor for balance, or you can just let your toes hang, which is what I'm going to do. Starting to come down into a little seat. Few options with your arms. You could bring the arms behind you, squeezing the shoulder blades together. You could bring them in front of your body in prayer, or you could come back into eagle arms again. Right arm looping underneath the left, elbows coming up towards the chin, palms away from you. Find something that isn't moving to focus on. Take a couple of breaths here. And we're going to keep the arms as you have them. Unloop the legs, coming into warrior three. So right leg stretches behind you. Toes pointing down, no more than parallel with the mat. Using your glute muscles to strengthen through that back leg. Bringing your hips to balance. Take a breath. If you had your hands looped, everyone can bring the arms back behind them. And on the next exhale, drop those toes down. Maybe walk that left foot out a little bit wider so that your legs are hip width apart, coming into this arrowhead lunge. Take a breath, let it go. Think about integrity here, drawing the shoulder blades back, squeezing them together, letting the gaze be forward, neck is nice and long, whole body is one straight line from the back foot to the top of the head. We're going to come up to stand on the left leg, bringing the right knee up, arms above the head if that feels comfortable for you. And then with your exhale, come into an open twist. Left arm forward, right arm back. Holding the twist. And exhale, step back, warrior two. So bringing that right foot about 45 degrees angles, or maybe a bit closer to parallel with the back of the mat. Left knees are pointing forward over your toes. Hips are comfortably wide, squeezing the shoulder blades together, looking forward over that left hand. Few breaths. And then we're going to cartwheel the hands forward, coming into plank pose. One breath here, shifting the weight over the wrists. Drop the knees anytime. Exhale, bring the knees down, chin and chest, down to the mat. Release the knees. Little cobra pose, stretch through the upper back. Child's pose or down dog. 3 breaths, your choice. Notice your heart rate. Notice your sense of alertness. Notice if you're feeling just generally a little bit more awake. We've started to ask the body to use the vestibular system. We started practicing those left-right brain connections. All really good ways to wake up a bit of a slumpy brain, a slumpy body. Let's take little small steps, walking towards the top of the mat. Pausing in forward fold. Take a little halfway lift just to stretch everything out. Exhale, dropping the head. Press into the feet, bending the knees, rolling up nice and slowly. Arms above the head. Take a little stretch here. Hands to the heart. Maybe one hand on heart, one hand on belly. Let your heart rate settle. And we're going to repeat on the other side. So let's come into eagle, bringing the weight onto the right foot, left leg crosses over, maybe toes are on the floor, maybe you're just sinking back. Your choice, the arms. Eagle arms, left under right, or just in prayer pose at the heart. Take a couple of breaths, wobbling as normal. And we'll come into warrior three in your own time. Balancing on the right leg. Left glute is doing a lot of work here. Toes pointing down. Eyes on something that isn't moving. Release the arms. Bring them back behind you. Shoulder blades drawing back and together. Exhale. Bring those toes down. Wobble that right leg across. Oops, so that you're on train tracks. Find your integrity in the pose. Long neck. Shoulder blades are squeezing in. Pressing those feet down evenly. One more breath here. Coming up to stand, left knee up towards the chest. Arms up if that feels comfortable. Open twist to the left, keeping that knee up. And step back, warrior two. Thinking about the integrity again, right knee is over those right toes. This is like what we did in our low lunge before. Shoulder blades are squeezing together. Looking over that right hand. Pressing the feet down. Drawing up tall. Next exhale, cartwheel the hands. Find a plank. Engage your core. One breath. Knees down. Chin and chest. Dive through, release your feet. Little cobra. Stretch for the back. Everyone come to child's pose. Where we started. Hips to heels. Knees as wide as you would like them. Walking the arms forward or making that little pillow again. And checking in. How do you feel now after this practice compared to where you were when we started? How is your body feeling? How are those tight bits feeling? How does it feel to breathe deeply? How is the energy in your body? How is your mood? And how are your thoughts? Take a couple more breaths here, slowing your heart rate down. And then pressing the hands into the mat. Roll up nice and slowly. We'll just take a couple of stretches just to release from the practice. Coming down to seat with your legs out in front of you. Bring the right ankle over your left knee. Bringing your hands behind you to support yourself. And just bring that left foot in a little bit until you can come into this seated pigeon pose. Really thinking about pressing your spine up nice and straight, looking straight ahead. Maybe rocking, or maybe still. Whatever feels more comfortable for you. Closer you bring this left foot in, the more intense that stretch is going to be. Let's gently straighten that left leg again and just plant the right foot down, all four corners of that foot planted down on the mat. Use your left hand to draw that knee into the chest, right fingertips behind you, straighten the spine and just turn into a little twist. Nice twist through the mid-back, shoulders, drawing in the abdomen. Gently untwist. Give the legs a little bit of a shake. Let's repeat that on the other side. Left ankle over the right knee, hands behind you, just coming into your seated pigeon. Thinking about a nice straight spine. Maybe rocking backwards and forwards through that glute. And then let's straighten that right leg, planting the left foot down, draw it into the chest with your right arm, left fingertips behind you, straighten the spine, just turning into a nice twist. Drawing in the abdomen to twist maybe a little bit more, relaxing the neck, just glancing behind you perhaps. And gently letting that go. Releasing the legs, coming to seated. Maybe a few little neck rolls or shoulder rolls. Just seeing how your body feels after that practice. And coming to stillness. I hope you're feeling a lot more energized and awake and alert now, and that this really helps you for the rest of the day. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I'll see you again soon.